Welcome to another purposefully packed episode of the Pretty Purposeful Podcast. I'm your host, Angie Melange.
I'm your co-host, Candace.
Today's episode is a little special. It's our Mother's Day edition. Yes. So before we dive in, y'all, we just want to take a moment to celebrate and honor all the moms, the mom figures, the nurturers, everyone out there celebrating Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Happy Mother's Day.
When I think about Mother's Day, I can't help but to think about how many of us are doing it alone. So there are more single mothers in our community than ever before, and I'm one of them. Listen, we do it with love, we do it with strength, and we wear a whole lot of hats. Mom, dad, counselor, provider, protector, you name it. But if we're being honest, it was never meant to be that way, y'all. With everything going on in the country right now, it's never been more important for us to focus on rebuilding our families, rebuilding our communities, and starting to move with purpose. Not just for ourselves, but for the generations coming after us. And that's exactly what we're going to be getting into today. But before we do, y'all know I always got to check in with my co-captain on this purpose train, Miss Candace. What you been up to, sis?
Why did I think about that? Go on and ride the train. Ride it. Okay. But yes, girl, yes. So I just went to this festival. It's like a music festival called Sip and Savor. So I am, as you can see, the background is different because I am currently in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I connected with some awesome friends of mine, and they invited me to go to like this music festival to all my grown people. Are you familiar with the group Shalimar?
Yes, honey.
Howard, the lead singer from Shalimar, was the main, I guess you could say, artist or the main act.
Okay.
Yes. So it was really fun. We were there from it was hot too. A couple of hours. I think it started at 11, but I wasn't. 11 was too early for me.
Wow.
So I think I made it around 1. We stayed until like around 6 or 7, and it was a really good grown folk vibe. It was really fun. And I did create a little video. I want to show it to you all real quick. Here it is.
I will. And baby, second verse. Is it? It's too hot out here. Come on.
Candace. Thanks for bringing the energy and the vibes. You know?
Yes, so we had a great time.
Girl, Auntie was getting it. She was getting it. And I see you was getting your suntan on. You was getting sun-kissed. I saw. Yes. No, that's definitely a grown vibe for sure.
Girl, grown aunties and uncles left and right. Okay.
They had the lawn chairs and coolers and stuff.
All of that.
To me, I feel like that is like the true mark of, not being adult, but adult fun. Like that is the true mark of how when you grown and sexy, it's a vibe. Ain't no drama, ain't no riffraff. Bringing food from the crib in the cooler, what? Might even have a grill.
Angie, let me tell you. So you know how I'm that loud. I could be very loud.
And loud.
Look, Angie, so you know how I be getting down. When I'm like super excited in my whole energetic vibe, I be super lit. So I was dancing and everything, and I made a friend with one of the people that was there. And she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, you the life of the party." And I'm like, I am not used to being considered the life of the party, but I have gotten to a stage to where it's like, I don't even care what people think. If I just decide, I'm like, we at a music festival. So I'm about to be out here dancing like,
right.
Like, I don't care. Like, I'm about to be be out here dancing, living life and enjoying myself. So she was like, it seems like, you the life of the party. And one of my friends had brought a cooler, right? A decent sized cooler. And and what's funny is she comes to me and she says, so what you got up in that cooler? Now, Angie, me and you both know I don't really be drinking like that. And so I was like, I don't know, you're going to have to ask my friend because I wasn't the one that brought the cooler. She was like, and that's where the whole conversation was, see, you the life of the party, so I know you know what's up in that cooler. And I'm like, why the person that's super energetic gotta be the person that it gets lit on alcohol? And I'm like, wait a minute now. Right. I don't gotta have alcohol or drugs to be lit.
Right. I mean, people do just have a good time without any additives. Yes.
Girl.
Yes. No.
Look, enough about me. What about you,
girlie? No, I was still stuck on the vibe, girl. It took me to a moment. The last time I was at a music festival, like it's definitely a vibe. Like
it was a whole vibe. I'm telling you. Yes. So what have you been up to? What you been up to, honey?
Well, okay. So, last weekend was Easter weekend.
Yeah.
So I spent the day with my Kayla. I went up to Athens to spend time with her. It was such a short weekend. I didn't really want to bring her here and then have to take her back. So I said, you know what? Let me just go to her. Yeah. And this wasn't anything that was like, planned in advance, but the night before I kept seeing people talk about the movie Sinners. And I was like, I didn't even know anything about it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see a trailer. I didn't see a commercial. I had heard nothing about it until I started seeing everybody online talking about how great it was. And I mean, crazy reviews. So I'm like, oh, if they reacting like this and it just came out, then that's something that we could do. People have their opinions about, going to see a vampire movie on Easter. But you know what? Y'all can keep them opinions. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I didn't even know it was a vampire movie. I'm just thinking it's called Sinners. And, this is a holy holiday. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is going to be around Christianity. It's going to be around faith. That was my original. I had no idea that I was getting ready to go see a horror film. Okay. We get up in there. Had no idea. So I knew Michael B. Jordan was in it from people saying that he was in it. But as far as the plot, as far as the vampires, I'm thinking it was like a racism movie. I'm like, oh, I see, the KKK. I'm just thinking it's just has something to do with our history.
Right.
Man, when those white people turn into vampires, I was like, whoa. So you guys, here is a little clip of the movie Sinners.
I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Love you, brother. Be careful. I will. With all the things that I've seen, I ain't ever seen no demons, no ghosts, no magic. Till now. Now get back inside. Let me in, man. Some weird shit going on out here. You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
So, sis, you see that? Did you see? Like, that movie had so much depth. I mean, I think I have to see it another time to catch some of the other messages that was in there, but I think the director's name is Ryan Coogler. Yeah. He's getting a lot of credit from his peers in the industry of how amazing he did with everything from the plot, the casting, the cinematography, the messages. It was a really great film. So I would not be surprised if they were not getting like Oscars next year. Yeah. Probably one of the best films of the year. Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing so much talk about Sinners too. I'm not really a big fan of horror movies, gory movies, scary movies, but I've been hearing some things about Sinners, and I'm like, okay, I might give it a watch, but I need a friend to watch it.
Girl, and my Kayla, she's not a real big, thriller fan out there. She's grown. She's gotten better with watching them. I don't like gory, like blood type of movies. I like suspense thrillers. I do like the stuff like I Know What You Did Last Summer. Those type of thrillers that, Final Destination is getting ready to come out, that type of stuff. And now that does have some gore in it, but it's the suspense that I like. So, but yeah, so if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely go support. Of course, it's a Black film. The cast, there's a lot of Black actors and actresses in there. So definitely, y'all, that's what I've been up to.
Okay. Yes.
So what's going on with PPP? Do we have any updates? Any PPP updates?
We do, girly. So YouTube family, we just want to give you a huge thank you because we just reached 100 subscribers. 100 subscribers. Organic subscribers at that. So y'all are family and friends. We appreciate it. The next goal is definitely 200. Okay. Of more purposeful, more purpose-driven family to be added to the squad, to the team. So we are super excited about that. Another update, we will be taking a small break next week, but we will be back on the 21st to go for a live episode. We are looking for guests to join our panel for our mental health awareness episode. Okay, so we will have a discussion on Black mental health and how to get the support that we need, family. So definitely excited about the live coming up. Stay tuned for that. If you're interested in joining the panel, we would love to have you. We'll have some information in the description if you're looking to sign up.
Mental Health Awareness Month is coming up, you guys. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so you guys know here at the Pretty Purposeful Podcast, we are all about, mental wellness and, breaking the stigma. So we encourage you all that in this upcoming month, let's start having those conversations with family, friends. Let's just keep the dialogue open because now more than ever, we definitely need to be taking care of our mental health. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. This episode today is called Built to Last. And y'all, we are talking about reconstruction of the Black family. And by reconstruct, what do I mean? What we have been seeing, what we've been witnessing, it's been so destructive that now is the time for us to be repairing and rebuilding. So we can't act like the Black family hasn't been under attack for generations. Everything from slavery to family dysfunction, mass incarceration, and of course, economic policies that punish single income homes. So sis, when you think about the way that we both grew up, the contrast, I grew up with a single mom, you grew up with both parents, and with everything that's going on right now, why do you think it's so important for this generation to be intentional about rebuilding the family structure?
Girl, it is so important for us to be intentional because we just talked about this. All we have is ourselves. Nobody is coming to save us. Nobody is going to make sure that your great-great-grandchildren are set up for success. It starts now. It starts today. It starts with being very like you said, intentional with where we want to see our families years from now when we're gone from here. It goes back to being a leader. Okay. And when you are a leader, you are not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the people that are coming up behind you. And you don't have to have a family. Like with me, I don't have a family yet. I don't have any children yet. But I know that there are young women, even my sister, she might not admit it, but I feel like she kind of do look up to me here and there. And there's probably other people that, are looking up to us women, whether you have children or not. And we just really have to be intentional with setting the stage with where we want our future to look like, especially when it comes to future generations.
Yeah, no, you made a really great point, sis. The way that families are structured these days are so different. I don't even know that there's been much intention, when it comes to legacy building, when people are approaching dating and relationships. And, like you said, we've talked about dating and relationships and alignment. These things are so important. But I just think these days, a lot of people are just, I don't know, they don't want to be alone. People don't want to be alone. People looking for validation and people bored. VLV, let's just keep it real, and looking for a quick fix. But now we're seeing more than ever how important having that stability and structure is. You just shared with us the importance of us, creating that generational wealth and being intentional about rebuilding the family structure. So tell us, when it comes to the family structure, like, are there different impacts that, exist whenever we're not being intentional?
Yes, and yes. Economic impact. So you know that there are 2-parent households. They are statistically more likely to build generational wealth. They are more likely to own homes and pass down financial literacy. Mm-hmm. All right. I also want to talk about the impact on emotional stability. Children raised with intentional love and structure, no matter what the family looks like, have a better, I guess you could say they have more stronger and better emotional health. They have better and stronger self-esteem and better outcomes later in life. Yeah. Another thing that impacts all of this is cultural preservation. And what do I mean by that? Families are how culture is preserved and passed on, point blank, period. So without having strong roots, traditions and histories get lost.
Look, who you telling? That is so true. I mean, like my grandma passed away in 2018, and this is on my dad's side. So I would have to say, she was the matriarch. She was the glue that kept the family together. And as far as like passing those traditions down in the culture, I mean, she was the one who managed that. Like, and I think in many families within our community, that is the tradition, is that the matriarch, kind of keeps the family together, keeps the family, history. My grandma had suitcases full of documents and pictures, and when she passed on, like that got passed down to like one of my aunts, but now that aunt is now the one who's holding the tradition, the culture, the memories, the things that make our family, what it is. But when families are broken, you lose that. Not everybody gets access to all of the history and the culture. And that's where our culture, can get lost.
This is very powerful, Angie. It actually reminds me, I know we're kind of getting off track, but there was someone I was having a conversation with, and he mentioned that, and this was an African family that I was speaking to someone that's from an African culture. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned how there was this grandparent that was telling them they don't understand why do Americans start over all the time. We start over all the time. It's like, it just is so foreign. It was so foreign to this grandparent. And then they're like, you wonder why you don't have wealth, because y'all keep starting over. And I feel like part of that is because a lot of us are out here being selfish. Now, this might turn into a different topic or something we could discuss later on, but kicking your kids out at 18, 17. Let's not, like, don't get me started, but I'm grateful that my parents they were never like that towards me. They've been those parents for me. Like, they understood. Let me put it like this. My parents understood that this day and age, that kicking me out at 18 would not be setting me up for success. If anything, it would be harder for me.
I will say I've witnessed it be passed on generationally. The same way that we can preserve culture, good things about our history, right, and pass on, we also can have bad habits and bad, generational toxic traits that get passed on. And one of them being, if a mother had been kicked out, let's say a mother became a teenage mother, 18, gets pregnant, and her mom kicks her out. What I've seen is that cycle repeat. Whenever that child that she had gets to a certain age, she feeling like, okay, I had to be on my own. I had to do this at 18. If you don't listen to me, then you could go. And it's like, why not communicate? Like, where's the effective communication? Where's the conflict resolution? Where's the therapy? The real intention of keeping the family together, keeping the young person supported versus just throwing them aside. I hate to say it, but like when you put your kid out at 18, you're literally like sitting them out on the curb like they're trash for the world to pick up and take wherever and do whatever with them. Even if they got a smart mouth, even if, don't get me wrong, respect is paramount.
Yep.
But if you are not doing your part to effectively communicate, number one, you need to be working on your communication skills. You need to be getting the help that you need. Maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe you need to work on your conflict resolution and how you can have conversations with your children that are productive, not conversations that lead to blow-ups and people leaving and fight physical. No, you want to be able to have those hard conversations. And if you need to get a third party, be intentional about doing it, because the goal at the end of the day is to keep the family together and help people be successful when they get out in the world on their own. I got to ring the bell for myself.
Period. Gosh, I'm mad I didn't bring my bell. I'm telling you, thank you for ringing it, because you are spot on. I couldn't have said it any better.
So we're talking about relationships, family dynamics, but at the root of all of that is love. Without love, what can you do? It all starts with that love, and it's the foundation. So we know that it's the foundation, but love alone is not enough to keep a family together or keep a legacy standing. So we need love, but we also need to build wealth. And that's what we're going to talk about in this segment.
This is so true. Why do you think there's so much hesitation or lack of awareness around wealth building tools like home ownership, estate planning, and life insurance in our community? How do you think we, should start shifting that mindset, Angie?
That's a great question. I think that there's a lot of hesitation in our community around, the topic of finances, let alone wealth building. But I think that a lot of that comes from, our I think it boils down to access, or to be honest, the lack of it. So, historically, a lot of the systems in this country were created without us in mind, right? We see it every day. And so the knowledge of how the systems actually work, it wasn't passed down to us either. We were never really given a full picture because the powers that be really never intended for us to be a part of it. So when you don't understand the purpose behind these financial concepts, like why credit is important, home ownership, estate planning, all these things. It's hard to adopt something and trust them if you don't even know the purpose, right? So that's why purpose is, so important. It's everything. When we know the purpose behind wealth building or financial literacy, when we not only learn the how, but we understand the why, then I believe that that's when it can become a part of our legacy and not just another task that we're, checking off on a box of adulting.
My notepad.
Okay, sis is taking notes. I know that's right. So talking about a checklist and notes and things like that, I'm going to actually share with you guys some examples where Black wealth has not been built to last. So we hustlers, we creative, and we know how to turn something out of nothing, right? But how do we sustain it? That's our issue. How do we sustain it so that it becomes generational wealth, right? So home ownership is still the one way that families can build generational wealth. But yet Black home ownership rates are still way below where they should be. Now, we know that there's systems designed to keep us behind, but because we know that should be even more reason for us to be trying to intentionally and purposefully attain it, right? Things like life insurance, not just life insurance. Let's be real. Let's talk about it. Car insurance, health insurance, the things that, again, insurance is a system that, was not necessarily designed with us in mind. But if even those at the top know and understand the importance of having insurance, you're protecting yourself. It's literally a form of protection. That's all insurance is. You're literally protecting yourself for the things that you unexpected, So it's really heartbreaking whenever I see like the GoFundMe's, whenever, families need to put out expense, for funeral expenses, when a basic life insurance policy could have protected them from that. So another thing is estate planning. You don't really hear many people in our community talking about estate planning. But if we don't have wills or have estate plans, then a lot of times our families get caught up in courts and, they might not even walk away with anything. Once you pay lawyers and court costs and all that back and forth, these things, our family acquires over, their life, the material wealth, right? They don't automatically just get passed down to us just because we're family. You can't go into court and just be like, yeah, I'm related, so let me get my share. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, we really do, as a community, we miss so many opportunities to sustain generational wealth. And that is the reason why we see poverty, poor financial habits, and of course, even debt passed on, which is really, really sad.
Angie, I'm so happy we're talking about this because this serves as a reminder for me that I need to get my will done. And I guess I'm speaking for the women that are childless or women, that maybe have children that passed away, but I hope that's not the case. But having a will is so important despite, what child or whoever you have in your life. Mm-hmm. If you have family, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, nieces, nephews, mm-hmm. It's so important to have a will. And this reminded me that I need to get mine because I don't have, I have beneficiaries on my retirement mm-hmm. accounts, but it's different when you have a will because, if you have businesses and other assets, it makes life so much easier, especially for your loved ones if things are intact. So this was a reminder for me that I need to get that intact, updated, all of that. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
If we say we love our families, part of that love is making sure that they're protected, right? Not just emotionally, but financially. Even starting small. One life insurance policy, one savings account, mm-hmm. one will, it's a seed. Okay, it's how we start. Speaking of which, Angie, for all the single moms out there listening,
Mm-hmm.
what are some practical ways that they can start building legacy before their husband comes along?
Ooh, okay, so that's a great question, because as we mentioned early on in this episode, that we have more single moms today than ever. I mean, it's just sad, but it's our reality. And so, knowing that, I think it's important if you're going to try to build legacy before you have a husband. Stability is everything. I can say, me personally, while I'm waiting on my husband, my focus has been just making sure that my daughter and myself have a solid foundation to stand on, regardless of my relationship status. I went back to school to increase my skills, not just for me, but for her too, to serve as an example for her. My daughter has been able to see firsthand how I've been able to manage working and going to school and dealing with life as it comes. She's seen me handle, adversities and hardships. And that's the example that we are charged with setting for our children, so that they know how to deal with those situations and continue to be productive. So another thing that moms can do, or dads, single dads, is make sure that you have stable employment. So, even after I was wrongfully terminated, I quickly pivoted to drive and Lyft. No shame in my game. It's a job. As a matter of fact, it's more than a job. It is a business. And so, I just want to take a moment to say shout out to all of the Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, especially moms that are out there risking their lives, not just on the road, right? But people getting into their cars, they don't know who they are. So I just really want to take that moment to just acknowledge there's nothing wrong with driving Lyft or Uber. It is very empowering. It is a amazing opportunity for you to network, to increase your wealth. You literally get to make your own schedule. And so shout out to all the moms out there. I also started my LLC, Pretty Purposeful Events, which is not full time, but it exists. I do actively do events when they come about. I'm still promoting it, still trying to grow it. I talked to my daughter about, contributing to a 401k, which I have, and, keeping a savings account. And I actually have a budget, y'all. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not one to be out here trying to keep up with the Kardashians, or like my grandma used to say, keep up with the Jones. I don't care. I go to the Goodwill. I shop at discount places. I buy off-brand products. I am not somebody who's out here faking the funk. Like, no, this is, to each his or her own. There are people that feel like they have to portray a certain type of lifestyle. And, unfortunately, if you're faking your life and your lifestyle, how are you really building? What type of foundation do you have if what you're building is not even real? I'm a single mother and I'm trying to protect my daughter's future and my legacy. But the sacrifice as a mother that I've made to have my daughter, us living in where we live, I might not own my place, right? But I don't have to worry about somebody robbing me when I come home at night. I don't got to worry about nobody breaking into my place, taking what I've already built, the foundation that I'm laying.
Listen,
I don't know.
I think you on the roll, sis. You on the roll. When you mentioned that you were not trying to keep up with the Kardashians, I love the fact that you said that, because where are we? We are in Atlanta, hot Atlanta, home of the Mercedes-Benz, home of the most successful Black queens and kings. But here's the catch-22 when it comes to that. A lot of these queens and kings out here are flexing so bad to where they are jeopardizing allowing there to be wealth for their future generations, because they're trying to flex so bad. Now, we don't know. I'm telling you, we have no idea, but it's really a thing. Thanks, Instagram. Thanks, social media, for making people feel as though that they have to have a certain image to look a certain way, but it's a lot of people out here just flexing, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they flexing, but we don't see that $30,000 credit card debt.
Yep.
All right, we don't see that their car is about to be repossessed in a month if they miss working 60 hours on the job.
Say that again. You said 60 hours.
60. This is a real thing. Who do we really care about, y'all? Are we thinking about our babies? Are we thinking about impressing the people that we see at the club? Are we thinking about impressing the people or we call our friends? But you talking crap about. Okay. Who are we really trying to see win here? Our families or our egos? Who are we trying to see win? So I want to thank you, Angie, for mentioning that, because I even feel the pressure sometimes. You don't think I want to ride around in a BMW X6? Like, I would love to have that. But guess what? I'm driving a Honda, okay? And I'm proud to say that.
I drive a Ford.
Yes, I am proud to say that I am driving a Honda that I've had for some years now. And I'm able to contribute to a 401k because I decided not to be so, let me look like I got all my stuff together. So no, okay, calm down. We got our babies over here looking at these people flexing who are really not don't really genuinely got it like that. And then this is where the cycle happens, Angie, because you got our babies are looking at us. Oh, I want to be like auntie. Right. I was about to say, I don't know what to call. I want to be like auntie, but auntie is in debt.
Right.
Auntie close to getting her car repossessed, but you don't know that because she's not being very transparent with you because she's wanting to keep up an image.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie isn't thinking about her kids. Auntie is living for the now. So what we really have to be careful of is judging people that don't have all these things, flexing with all these assets, because they might very well be the people that are thinking about their family's future. How many times do you hear about the janitors? How many times do you hear about, and no, nothing against janitors, nothing against any type of careers that are known for making less money. But how many times do you hear about people in these occupations and these jobs where they're making less money, but they end up with millions later because they wasn't trying to flex? Okay.
Building real wealth, paying into insurance policies. If they do pass away, their family like, oh my gosh, this person had this policy. You didn't even know about it because they wasn't trying to flex for anybody. They were just trying to take care of their family and make sure their family was good when they leave. And that's the goal. That's the goal. It's not about maintaining this perfect image. Like, we're beyond that. And I think that right now with what's going on in the country right now, if there hadn't been a wake-up call during the pandemic, this is the wake-up call, because things are shifting in a way where we getting ready to go back to our rights are at risk, right? So if you thought we had barriers right now, if you think we have had barriers to growth and success, it's about to get even harder. So, no more games, y'all. It's really about being intentional so that not only so that we can continue to build a legacy for our people, but so that when the right person comes along, you're already building something that they can add to.
Ooh, talking about the right person coming along. So, Angie, what I hear you saying is you don't have to wait for your Boaz to come before you start building for legacy.
Exactly. Because that person, whomever they may be, your husband, your helpmate, your partner, they're a blessing, but you still have to have a foundation.
Purposeful family, whether you're a single mom or a single dad, here are a few practical ways to start building your legacy now. So let's talk about it. Teach your child early on about money management. For example, setting up a custodial savings account or credit building account when they turn 18 years old. That will help. Protect what you do have. So, for example, getting a life insurance policy to make sure that you're covered no matter what. Watching the company you keep. All right.
Wait, you mean to tell me you could protect what you have by watching the company that you keep?
Watching the company you keep. That's it. That's it, girl. Another thing that I want to mention is planning long-term moves. So creating a simple will or an estate plan, even if your assets are modest now. All right, it's okay. At least you have something written down. Yep. That makes it concrete. Another thing, prioritizing your mental and emotional stability too. So going to therapy, having emotional, intelligent conversations like we're having now, setting healthy boundaries with family members and friends.
You better say that, sis. Oh, those were some excellent practical ways that, us now single parents can start building and setting that solid foundation. Before we get out of here, we just want to remind you all that now is the time for us to shift our mindset from just surviving to thriving and from just dating to legacy building. Did you know that wealth and legacy building are revolutionary acts? Did you know that? Think about that. When we build, we protect and we pass down what we've earned. We're actually disrupting the systems that were never designed for us to thrive. Every family that we nurture, every asset that we secure, and every future that we invest in, that is resistance. In today's world, beyond just surviving day to day. So everybody, legacy and wealth building might be the goal, but we have to remember too that it's more than just a goal. In our case, it's a protest and it's our protection for our future. That's what I have. So sis, what are some takeaways? Like, I feel like before we get off this episode that we really need to just bring it all together so that our purposeful family can have some actionable steps, things to think about as we move forward.
Ooh-wee, because earlier you hit on relationships and how it affects your wealth building. So purposeful family, here's what we're not going to do anymore, especially when it comes to relationships and building. Okay. This goes for men, women, everyone in between. We're not going to entertain chaos. We're not going to entertain chaos anymore. We're choosing peace, purpose, partnerships that pour right back into us. All right. If you cannot add to my life, you do not get a seat in it.
You know what else we're not doing?
What else are we not doing?
We are not confusing chemistry with character. Okay. So just because the vibe is good does not necessarily mean that the foundation is good. So basically you can vibe with a liability if you're not careful. Okay. So we want to be building with people whose actions actually match their words.
So you want to know what else we're not doing?
What else ain't we doing, sis?
We're not doing situationships. We're not doing situationships in the name of potential. If you can see my worth, but you cannot match my energy or my vision, respectfully, we're not ready to build. All right. And that's okay. But I'm not going to wait for your potential.
Okay.
Come ready, because we are coming ready. So we need you to come ready.
Woo. Sis, you know what else we're not doing?
What else we not doing?
Sis, we are not building empires with people who is out here moving like they freelancing. We is not building with subcontractors, okay?
Ooh.
We are only building with people who know their assignments. You either do know your assignment or you don't. And if you don't, hey, figure out your assignment and then come approach me, okay? Because legacy work is not something that you do as a hobby. So both parties, when you're building, you're in a relationship, one person can't be the one that's focused on building while the other one is just there existing. No, both parties have to reflect similar values and mindsets.
Ooh, that's good. I got one more thing.
One more.
We're not gonna do.
What we not gonna do, sis?
Let me tell you what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna hand out generational access to people on temporary energy.
Ooh.
My time, my love, my body, my future are all sacred.
Mm-hmm.
I just had this conversation with a young man.
Okay? Had to let him know.
I had to let him know, like, I really do view my body as a sacred temple.
Yes.
Okay? You can't have permanent parts of me when you're only looking for a temporary vibe.
Ooh.
No. You cannot have permanent parts of me when you're only looking for a temporary vibe. Because what is that going to lead to? The foundation is a little shaky.
Yep. Sis, I love it. And you know what? There's one other thing that we're not going to be doing. Okay? Because we talk about boredom, loneliness, and validation all the time. But what we're not doing, y'all, we are not confusing loneliness with loyalty. Because let me tell you, when they lonely, they going to call you. They going to call you. They going to want your company. They going to want you to be on the phone. They're going to want you to engage. But are they coming with intention? Are they coming with an intention to build? Or like Candace was just saying, is it just a temporary vibe? So everybody, purposeful family, just because you get used to someone doesn't mean that they're meant to stay. Stop and look around and see, what are you building? What have you built? On that note, we're going to go ahead and close this episode out. Sis, do you have anything for the people that you want to share before we get out of here?
I just need to go back and rewind and listen to everything we just said, because those are affirmations to keep me on track. If you are interested in being a guest on the Pretty Purposeful Podcast, please visit our website. We're going to go to www.prettypurposefulpodcast.com. On the website, you will see exactly where you can register as a guest. We would love to hear from you, okay? Even if you don't see, a topic on there that you think you can relate to and you still feel like you have a story to share, we still want to hear from you. So please go ahead and register. To those that are curious on what type of topics we'll be talking about in the future, we are going to talk about MAGA, who FAFO'd. We're going to discuss the mixed race experience, passports or protest. Ooh, should we stay in the U.S. or should we just pack our suitcases and leave? We're going to talk about boring people, but they're not really boring.
They only boring to you because they don't like you. It's like,
exactly. They only boring to you because they have their priorities together and they're not trying to waste time. So they're boring.
They are purposefully, they boring on purpose, with purpose, for a greater purpose. And that purpose ain't you. It's like, all right, you guys. So before we get out of here, y'all, we just want to remind you all to please like this episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, this topic, please comment. Let us know your thoughts as you listen to the episode. If anything resonates with you, if you want to share, this is the time for communities to collectively share their voices. We need to hear from you. You may have a perspective that we didn't consider. We want to know how you felt. Let us know in the comments below. And of course, hit subscribe if you haven't. Definitely support. We appreciate everyone supporting us up until now. And we just encourage you all to check out our merch. If there's anything there that you like, definitely, we have these purpose bells, y'all. These are actually $9.99. This is the cheapest piece of merch that we have that you can actually buy to support the podcast. And then when you watch, you can ring your truth bell with us. When we start doing live events, you'll have a truth bell to be able to engage. You know what? Even if you never use it and you just get it as a keepsake, it definitely means a lot to us, you guys. It costs money for us to do this. It costs money for us to, it costs money, you guys. We have subscriptions, we have equipment, we have, hair, makeup, everything that we're doing to put this quality content together for you all. It's not free. And one thing that I will say I'm proud of us, sis, is that we've maintained this podcast and we've built it up, on our own dime, it just our own intention and purpose of doing something meaningful. So, it would be nice if we could start being monetized, but that will only happen with you guys' support. So please like, share, comment, subscribe, and we thank you all in advance. One final thought, the future is still ours. Don't let what's going on with this administration deter you or distract you. We all have the tools and resources that we need. At this point, we just have to be purposeful in our choices, especially when it comes to who we're building with. So, Candace, before we get out of here, do you have any closing thoughts?
Everything this queen just said, yes, I agree. Got my stamp on it. I have nothing else to add.
All right. Well, as always, Purposeful family, it is okay to be pretty,
but even better to be
pretty purposeful. Bye.
Wasting all my life.